Senator Daines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary James, it's great to have you here. I understand you're out in Montana last week.
I was.
It's good to have you out there. It's good to see you last time you're out there as well. I do echo Senator Tester's concerns. We look at the 8/19th, the red horse, and what that might mean in our 2/19th in terms of economies of scale. And like you, Secretary James, I'm a protector of the taxpayer dollars. But there's two missions there that working together actually provide some synergy and economies of scale. So I hope that's considered as you take a look at locations of that unit down the road. I want to talk about the ICBM mission. And thank you for all your help, Secretary James, as well as General Welsh, on that most important mission. In fact, my favorite commander coin, then when I visited the base there, it says, "Scaring the hell out of America's enemies since 1962." And it's one of my favorite commander coins that I keep close about that important mission the airmen deliver up there at Malmstrom. And I applaud the administration for requesting strong funding, the $75 million for modernizing the ICBM arsenal. Could you provide your perspective on why the nuclear triad and our ICBMs in particular remain critical to deterring potential aggressors as we look at what's going on in Russia, a potential nuclear Iran, and other threats?
Right. Well, to start off, you already said it, Senator, but I'll repeat. I think it is crucial to maintain a flexible nuclear triad. In other words, I've never been in favor of going down to just one leg or two legs. I like all three because of the flexibility, the responsiveness, and so forth that it provides. And as you point out, we are trying to double down our efforts now and make some needed changes. So this will be not a one-shot deal. It's not a one-year thing. It needs to continue. And when I'm talking about changes, I'm talking about changes in the way we train and evaluate our people, changes in the incentives that we provide to our people. We're really trying to shift a culture away from what I'll call one that had been quite micromanaged and very focused on test, evaluate, to shift toward one which is one of continuous improvement. And again, all of these things take time. Modernization is part of that as well. So my figures suggest that we have about $5.6 billion more in this 5-year plan. So that's 16 through the 5-year plan than what we told you, the Congress, a year ago. So this is just a reflection of how important we think it is. So we're going to keep at it.
Thank you, Secretary James. I think what concerned many of us is back in June of 2013, the President was at the Brandenburg Gate and announced he'd like to see further reductions in our nuclear fleet beyond the existing START treaties. And I think many of us believe a peace through strength strategy, particularly in this world, is increasingly more dangerous, is the right approach, and our ICBMs and our nuclear mission is something that keeps the peace in this world. So thank you. I want to shift gears over to the C-130s for a moment, and Senator Tester alluded to this as well. The National Commission on the Structure of the Air Force talked about the need to try to swim in similar lanes as it relates to between the active and reserve components of trying to get to more of a standardized position there on the 130s. What is the Air Force's plan to modernize the avionics to ensure viability past 2020? We talked about a little bit, or even replace the Guard C-130 fleet, I guess, to ensure, we're on the same page. General Welsh.
Senator, let me start by telling you that 73% of our C-130 fleet is in the Guard and Reserve. We aren't keeping a whole lot of them in the active component. We have pushed more over the last couple of years in the Guard and Reserve because they do the mission exceptionally well, and it's well suited to the Guard lifestyle, employer base, and ability to execute the mission. The team that's putting together the long-term plan is doing it together. We have got to modernize the fleet over time, all of our fleets, including the C-130s. There's a little bit of a misperception about how we got where we are. The evil active duty did not put all the old C-130s in the Guard. That's not how this started. The C-130H models that are in the Guard now replace the E models. The oldest aircraft in the inventory at the time the C-130H model came in were in the Guard and the Reserve. So we populated the Guard and Reserve first with the H model. So for a number of years, all the new C-130s were in the Reserve component, and the active duty had the older E models. When we got the C-130J, we then replaced the oldest C-130s first, so most of those were in the active component. So now the goal is to continue this modernization cycle and bring the older aircraft up to speed. We have to do two things. We have to get them qualified to fly, both according to the FAA and to ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Authority requirements. That's this first increment that we have to do by 2020 for the FAA and 2021 for the international folks. The second iteration is then take those same airplanes and upgrade the aircraft, new glass cockpits, better avionics systems, a couple of key systems that need refurbishment and replacement. The question is, how much can we afford to pay for each one of those modifications over time in order to do the whole fleet? And we're trying to do the entire fleet, not just a couple of units here, there, or any one component.
And we'll have all the 130s in on the same architecture, structured avionics, so forth at that point.
Single supply chain, single logistics trail, as opposed to multiple going to the same squadrons.
Okay, all right. And that plan,
Time of
Senator
the
Tester asked
senator
for,
has expired.
if that plan, if you could make that available
Yes,
to us,
sir.
I appreciate it too. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks.